Hello, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to talk about why I stop, or at least try to stop comparing myself to other people, and the fact of it. I think like when I was like really young, maybe 10 or 8 or something, my dad basically told me to my face to stop comparing myself to other people. That was probably the only advice that he had ever gave me, and I actually tried to listen to but failed to do. Um, but ultimately, you should stop comparing yourself is because it's suicide. Otherwise, because if you keep comparing yourself to other people, you just never ever going to live or at least get to know who you are as a person, as a soul. And I think that's a shame. And I think that's a waste of beauty that needs to exist in this world. I know that sounds like so cheesy and so like, oh my god, why are you trying to brown nose your audience? But it's ultimately the truth because especially when you comparing yourself with other people, you don't know like your starting point with the other people together. It's probably hardest when you're comparing yourself to your peers. It's like, oh, that's what school reunion is very hard to do. And I just don't go to it anymore. I think it's a waste of time. Maybe because I'm also like not in the position to show off, or not in the position where I would be able to kind of say, hello, I made it. Um, Maybe there's also a lot of shame attached to that as well. So, but I guess I make the decision for my own mental health not to compare myself. And I think that's extremely important. First of all, you need to take care of yourself. And I think that's why you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. Anyway, hello everyone. If you just joined, my name is Valerie and welcome to the channel. So in 2025, I'm going to do a lot of talking videos and just to hang out, when you have a cup of coffee or tea like me. We're just here to just have a kind of chill moment, just talk about anything I can come up with, or I want to talk about opinions and stuff. I do a little bit of vlogs. I live in Sydney, Australia, and I did like a whole bunch of vlogs last year, 2024, when I turned 40. So there is a documentary there, like 5 days a week of vlogs, and for the whole 2024 most of the time. So you can check out that playlist if you want to see what's going on. Last year I also do solopreneur, which means like I sell stuff on the internet and I sell arts and graphic designs and stuff like that. You can check it out. The links in the description box below if you want to see or get to know me more and what I do outside YouTube. But predominantly in 2025, I'm just gonna hang out here and chat with you guys, and not going to have a lot of brain cells about it. Probably not gonna be filtered. Probably not gonna be well thought out. It's probably just gonna be brain to mouth directly. So it's not serious, really. It's just like hanging out, having a chat. Um, if you like it, if you like the company, come like and subscribe. It will help the channel quite a bit. Anyway, getting back to the topic. Also, like I was saying, because we don't know like the starting point for everyone, because if you're comparing yourself, for example, let's say Blue Ivy, which is the child of Beyonce, like she did not start where Beyonce started, right? Like she basically started on a platform that already established before she was born. So if you're wanting to be a super mega star, for example, and you're comparing yourself to Blue Ivy, like she's what, 12, and you think as a 12-year-old, for example, I don't know why a 12-year-old would watch this. It's just an example, okay? That you are failing in your life because you are not on a world stage where you are being watched by millions and millions of people dancing your booty off, and you're like, oh my god, I am still stuck in this particular school and I don't even know if I'm allowed to go outside this weekend. And you're comparing yourself to that person. That's silly. We can see that comparison as silly, but that's basically how comparison actually works. Like you are being silly. Be right back. I'm back. So we got two mics that I use like I swap every time the battery ran out. Um, so for example, I remember when I was working in my accounting job, and I have this guy that basically was really easygoing and really social and everything, and have like their life together of some sort. And I've seen a bunch of men, basic boys, men, basically that were in the same circumstances. They were just basically very not anxious about their circumstances whatsoever. And I also see like one guy particularly where he was acting up really, really blatantly, and he was not well liked. He was doing a bunch of things and saying a bunch of inflammatory things as well. He was the consensus wise, it's just like he wasn't liked, right? But there were also other people there that were very calm and collected, even when they get negative feedback. Like they would just take it on board and be very calm about it. And after working there for a while, I realized like all the men that are calm and collected, the men that are very cool and kind of have their life together a bit, or at least on track with the career progression, most of them came from a very well established and well um, like a well-to-do financial background families. And I know this because some of them basically do their tax return in our department and one of them probably have like a family with $20 million plus assets as their fallback basically. And of course, like, it's not their money, it's their parents money and everything. But I think, and I found out like the guy that no one really liked, the one that quite inflammatory every time he opened his mouth, was actually trying to figure out where to sleep. Like one time found like a fax in the fax machine, and the photocopy machine is one basically. If you I don't know if they still have it right now in companies. I don't know, like it's been 13 years since the last time I was in a big corporate environment. Basically, just in case you guys don't know what it is, just in case everyone now has transitioned into a paperless environment and you don't know what I'm talking about, like there is usually a big photocopying machines that exist in each department. There usually maybe one or two or three, and usually like if you are photocopying a thick or like compiling a thick documents, you just put it there and then you forget about it because it will take some times for it to copy. So you can see like other people's documents sometimes because you have to queue so that you can do your bit. And in one of those time, I saw this paper that was he was photocopying or faxing, and it was an application form for housing, and like because he and then later on we found out that or the company found out that he was sleeping in the office. He was sleeping in one of the empty offices, like under the desk. And I think it was an open secret. Like not everyone talk about it. It's just like oh, it's an information that everyone knows, but no one really discuss it as a gossip or anything. So it wasn't like me, cruel. It wasn't in that kind of environment. And I think like I noted that in my brain. Like I didn't make a comment in my brain. I didn't make a comment to anyone. But now I feel like in this particular issues, when I'm talking to you about it, like why you should why I stop comparing myself, it's like I'm reminded of that scenario. It's like, of course, the person whose living environment at home or the way they were brought up it's not stable, it's always going to have a different type of um, development differences when it compared to their peers. Their peers can cushion a lot more blowback, a lot more um, damage, so to speak, and it won't create any type of damage in their nervous system. I it is it's a very different starting point for each one of them. Like maybe like the guy that was sleeping under the desk in the office every night will need another 20 years before they're being able before they be able to you know um, handle a lot of the things that the other guys that basically grew up in a financially stable household uh, could handle. Because I remember like a 20-year-old guy basically just bought his own uh, apartment as an investment property, and he was only working for the company for like 2 years. And I realized like you definitely can't compare yourself. And even though he was so adamant that it was his own money and his hard work that is basically um, causing this particular incident where he could afford to make could buy an investment property at his age. I, as a person who don't have a financial stability growing up, realized that even though that's what he believed in, that's not necessarily true. That I feel like, especially back then, I was in my late 20s, and that definitely felt like a failure. Like this 20-year-old guy who hasn't even finished university yet is buying his own investment property, apartment. And I'm like, I am no, like even as a 40, almost 41-year-old now, I feel like still a failure if I compare myself to him, right? But and then like I kind of pull myself back a bit and kind of step back a bit and see, like, assess it from a different point of view. It's like this man, this boy, his favorite activity is basically kayaking. Kayaking. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if that's an expensive hobby, but to get a kayak, you probably need to pay a little bit money, right? And that means like he also mentioned that, even though his money, everything is about him, like his parents help him out like in navigating that whole situation. So he has supports like where his parents know what they're doing, and kind of like guiding this boy into a good financial position. And he basically still lives at home, so that's another plus. And just by that bits of information itself, then I would know that his parents probably have a good financial stability and also know what to do and already built probably an investment property portfolios. So he didn't really start at the same space as me. Like I don't have anyone that would guide me towards that particular position. So, oh, oh, that was my flatmate, by the way. So, she's not a ghost. She does exist. Um, anyway, and also, if you see that from that perspective, it's so huge. Like that difference of having someone, a mentor to guide you is huge. Have someone that knows what they're doing is huge. Have a support system that basically wants you to succeed is huge. You are nowhere near this type of starting point if you come from like my background, which was not having anyone to model what a successful life is like, what having people helping you, or people not sabotaging every step that you make, or people being jealous of you even though they're the one that probably have a lot of money and backing and support, right? So it's a huge difference, and that's why I just stop comparing myself to people. I just accept where I am and being kinder to myself. Some people might say that that's enabling yourself, like that's not supporting yourself to succeed. I call bull on that, because you are not supposed to do it all on your own, but the society is making you do that, and making you, is brainwashing you to think that if like you're a failure, while at the same time believing that they did everything themselves, which in reality, like this particular example, is like no, they didn't. Yeah, it's their own money, and but all the mental labor, all the research that needs to be done, all the intellectual properties of how to navigate the system was already done. That labor was already done by someone else. And the nervous system that you have is basically has been created based on stability, which is very different compared to the other person that didn't have any housing to fall back on and having to live quite roughly. So I think like this incident's kind of like as you live, I think you tend to forget about this type of examples. And I feel like lately I kind of coming to the surface of my brain, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is why I just need to stop comparing myself to other people, because um they have very different life and very different background. Their starting point is the same. I don't have Beyonce as my mother for example, so that'll be very different. And you are where you are, and that's okay. And at least that's what I'm telling myself anyway. Like, yeah, I'm maybe like 20 or 50 years back. I know I'm only 40, but like 50 years behind other people. But that's because I don't have 50 years worth of history to stand on as my starting point. And for some of you, that might also be the same thing, right? So it's important for you to think that like you might not have the same starting point. You have a different life. Each part of your life is very unique, so you can't compare yourself to other people. Or I'm trying to tell that to myself anyway. I can't compare myself to other people. So hopefully this talk is helpful, and hopefully it's reached the right people, and hopefully it gets you through a tough time, and hopefully we will stop comparing ourselves to other people. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening to me, guys. And if you listen to this far, I appreciate it. Like and subscribe so that it will help the algorithm find me so I can buy a house before I turn 80 years old. Anyway, a reminder, ING Australia is giving away $125 for new customers. If you want to find out like what you need to do, you can go to the description box and find the link and check out the steps that you need to take. And it will only apply until 31st of March 2025. So yeah, check it out for yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone.